Hi, I'm Stephanie.
And I'm Zack. And this is episode 570 of the Lawyerist podcast, part of the Legal Talk Network. Today, Stephanie and I talk about the new revamped Small Firm Scorecard and how that can help you kind of just really assess where you are in your firm, in your journey.
Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at Tabs 3, so stay tuned because Zack's going to be talking to them in just a minute.
So, Stephanie, I just got back from 2 weeks off. I've never done that before in my life. I absolutely didn't do it when I was running my own firm. I've never felt comfortable doing 1 week off, but I've never done 2 weeks off. And not only that, during my 2 weeks off, everybody at our company was off for that first week. I just extended it. I was like, if I'm gone, I'm gone.
Yeah. I did that last year. It was nice.
Talk about why our leadership at Affinity kind of did that. Like you can't come to work. We lock the doors,
Yeah. We talk a lot about the importance of taking unplugged vacations. And maybe if I'm being really honest, there was a selfishness there because as a leader, as the owner, it's really hard to step away for the reasons that you just said. And even, it's hard to step away at every level if I'm being, I'm just taking from my little personal vantage point. But especially as a team lead, like I know the team can function without me, but then I always wonder do they have a question? Do they need me? Are they doing okay? Well, I could just check in. Let me just help them with that or answer that real quick. It's just for a few minutes. But
yeah, and you do to jeers and boos, but yes, you do.
So, you try not to, but you just know if you're you're kind of you're just wondering, how's the team doing?
Yeah.
So the idea came about, well, if we shut the company down and we all took a break at the same time, then that would be impossible for our leaders, but also for our team members. Like we could set the expectations for the clients. Hey, we're not going to be around. So we tried it last year for the first time on the week of July 4th. I think it worked really well. So we said, let's keep doing it. It'll be interesting because next week, the 4th falls on a weekend. The other reality of this, if we're just also being really candid about as a business owner, July 4th is often one of those nothing weeks. When the few times it falls on the weekend, but most of the time it's like a Tuesday, a Wednesday. So you've got half the people are going to take off before
the first half,
or after.
Yep.
Honestly, I think 3 years ago, I was working July 4th and I thought, not the 4th itself, but I was working that week. And I thought, what is the point? Because hardly anyone is here. And there were just a handful of us trying to keep all the things running. And it was very frustrating because I'm like, well, apparently everybody just vacations this week at some point. So that also kind of played into it.
And partners do. Vendors do. Other people that you're working with. We have somebody that helps us do our website, and they were like, Zack, we're putting a launch hold for 2 weeks around July 4th, which I think is brilliant. But plan for it. But we also all knew that everybody was off for a week at the beginning of this year. We knew from last year.
Right. Yeah. So again, it doesn't happen by itself. It requires leaders being intentional about it. So once you decide this is what we want to do, it aligns with our values as to who we are, as to who we want to be as employers. Okay, now we have to be intentional and we let everyone know way in advance. We let our clients know. We plan for it. We also plan to not have things launch around that time, right? We can be intentional. We can build up systems. People got ahead of their work because that's the other thing is, you just don't want people coming back to, now I have to do twice as much work because I was out.
Oh man. Yeah. And that's kind of the worst. But if you do again with everybody, then I have to get my stuff done before we had a podcast episode go out the week that we were all off, and it worked. It went out. Now we had a vendor that made it go out, but we had it go out because we had planned it.
Exactly. So my message to everyone is, yes, you too can do this. Just make it happen, and we're happy to help you.
Well, now here is my conversation with our good people at Tabs 3, and then we'll head into my conversation with Stephanie. Hey, y'all, it's Zack, the legal tech advisor here at Lawyerist. And today I've got Bruce Politsky with me from Tabs 3. He's the director of sales, and we're talking practice management software. Frankly, Tabs 3, one of the ones that's been around for a while, one of the old heads here. Bruce, thanks for being with me.
Great to be here today. Enjoy meeting with you and talking with you every chance we get.
So, Bruce, I imagine a lot of the people listening to the podcast know what Tabs 3 is, at least have a basic, idea, have heard of it. But for those of them that haven't, what's Tabs 3? It's a family of products. It's a lot of things, right?
It is. And I guess just to give a little bit bigger picture of it, Tabs 3 is part of a little bit larger organization called ProfitSolve. In general, that is basically a comprehensive suite of solutions for legal, accounting, other professional service firms such as architecture or engineering. But at Tabs 3, we specifically have focused on the billing, accounting, and flexible practice management solutions. And we've been in business since 1979. Like you said, we've been around a long time.
A while, yeah. And so y'all have got Tabs 3 cloud and various mechanisms, and Practice Master is worked into there. Why should firms care about practice management? I guess. I mean, I think that's kind of a basic question here. Why should firms be thoughtful about their practice management software?
You got to look at just ways to set yourself apart, and sometimes that's little ways, something that can help you become more organized, more productive, and that's what practice management software allows you to do. It's a lot of times taking things that are on paper, digitizing them, and then making them available to your teams or to others, or just a way to historically store that information and not in, boxes and filed away in some storage unit, right?
Some file cabinet that's going to get flooded somewhere. Yeah,
that's right. So it's really just a matter of getting better organized, and then taking advantage of those tools to just give things to you more efficiently, whether it's finding data, reports, sharing data, whatever it is.
And speaking of sharing data, Tabs 3 and therefore Practice Master and Tabs 3 billing and all of this, the stuff, the suite of Tabs 3, we've got Tabs 3 cloud now. And so people can get to this from anywhere. They can get to it via browser. So it's not just something that has to be on-prem at this point.
That's right. And then that's one of the things that kind of sets us apart, is that we do still offer the on-prem option. So it's really, we just ask, how do you want it deployed, which would be in your environment on your servers, which is our on-prem solution, or we take that same product and we put it onto our servers, which is a cloud-hosted environment. So the transition from one to the other is pretty seamless. And the feature set is the complete feature set, no matter whether you're on-prem or in the cloud.
And I think that's something I want to hang on here, because that, to me, that's what sets Practice Master and Tabs 3 apart from a lot of other practice management software, is the vast amount of features. Like you said, Tabs 3 has been doing this since the 70s, and there are some really hard to find features that are in Tabs 3. And frankly, there are a lot of things that I don't want to say can't be done if it's just in the cloud, but there's some stuff that these on-prem or on-prem style practice management and time management software can do that others can't. You guys have a lot of really hard to find features. Can you talk to me a little bit about some of these features that are there that people kind of can't live without?
Yeah, it's one of those things that it has a very deep feature set, and not everybody uses all those features, right? But if there's something that you need, and our product generally has that, it just makes everything that you do in your day-to-day process that much easier. So it's a matter of identifying what are the must-have type features, and we can show you how to build them into your workflow. But it's very, if you talk about billing, it's very flexible, from all the different rates and rate tables and things you can do, and work with what we call our, basically task bill program, which is a different type of billing. So whether you're doing hourly or contingent, or you're also doing flat fee, or you're working with different types of, I'll say, outside sources, and you have requirements on how the bill needs to be submitted electronically. We handle all those different formats. We're not just a simple I'll just give one example, leads. Leads is just one of the things we do, but we have over 200 formats of those types of systems that we provide to just, again, make your life easier so that you can put the information in as required, submit it as required, and get paid without issues along that process, because sometimes that can get quite taxing.
I want to be specific here because I think some of our listeners may not know. We're talking about leads, a very specific way of billing, not
Yes.
intake leads. Because, again, Tabs 3 has been around a while and has been through a lot of things with a lot of attorneys and figured out a lot of different ways that attorneys operate. One of the things that I always think of is split billing and split origination. Those two things, if you need them, you need them. It is really, really hard to find in any piece of software. And Tabs 3 has both of those, plus a lot of other flexibility. Bruce, is there anything else that the people need to know about Tabs 3? I know we can't get it all done in 6 minutes. But what else should people know?
We have pretty extensive reporting, whether it's the financial side or just on the billing side. But other thing that really sets us apart is we have a fantastic US-based support team. So if you call our hotline, you're going to talk to a person, and they're going to be able to help you answer any questions, point you in the right direction, whatever it may be. We also have a pretty extensive national network of consultants. So if you need somebody on site or in your location, or somebody you can work with, even beyond just the product, just helping you with things you need to do with your firm, we have consultants that serve all 50 states. So it's just that extensive network we've built up. And then, like I said, we also do ongoing updates. Some of the on-premise systems aren't really, say, updating their software. They're just letting things continue as is. And we have annual updates, and throughout the year, we're doing regular updates. We're in the process of doing another release to our version 2025. Versions are tied to the year, but we have another small release coming out, and we'll do that 3 to 4 times a year with new features as well. So continuing to build.
And that's kind of nice. Like, it's updating. And quite frankly, I've been watching the Tabs 3 updates over the last couple of years to see how we go into the cloud and everything. But one of the things that I have as a complaint or a sticking point from attorneys that I work with is I walk in on Thursday and the thing doesn't look like it looked like on Tuesday. and I don't know where the button is that I use every day. And so, yes, you want things updated, but I don't want things updated every 30 seconds. So I think the 3-4 times a year is probably sufficient for my SOPs, for my standard operating procedures. So I personally, I think that's a really good way of doing.
The one other thing we take in consideration is that specifically, I'd say the majority of the time we add a new, say, something that would affect your day-to-day operation. We do usually provide you with the option of sticking with the classic way of doing that or the new way. Yeah. And a great example is we just updated some of our pre-bill tracking, which is how you review and update statements before you're ready to bill them. And our early feedback was, I just need it like I used to use it. So we have that option in there, right? You can stick with the way you did it or start utilizing the new, a little more automated, a little more electronic way of processing those. So we understand that is true, and don't want to put you in that situation.
Fair enough. Well, if people want to jump in and use it for the first time and get the little more automated, the little newer way, they can go to tabs3.com and catch a demo at tabs3.com/demo. Anything else they need to know?
Just that same support team's available to answer any questions before you purchase or after the demo, and our sales staff can do that as well. So if you're interested at all, just reach out and we'll start the conversation.
Love it. Love it. Bruce, thanks for being with me again. I really appreciate it. And I really appreciate this dive into Tabs 3.
Thanks, Zach.
Hi, I'm Stephanie, and I help lawyers build law firms that they don't secretly want to burn down.
Stephanie, welcome back to the show.
It's been a minute. People might be like, where did Stephanie go? I'm still here.
She was making sure that law firms didn't burn down. I feel that. I feel like there were times where I was like, where I stepped away and I'm like, if it goes, it goes. If it goes, it goes, and I'll do something else.
But it doesn't have to be that way. That's the good news.
That's true. That's true. Okay. So in our quest to help people build law firms that they don't secretly want to burn down, years ago, Lawyerist created the Small Firm Scorecard, kind of a way to let people assess their firm. And it was, how many questions was that
50.
one?
It was long.
50 American questions. I mean, that was huge. It was good. It had a lot. And we were rating various things based on kind of a not an arbitrary scale, but a scale of 1 to 10.
It was arbitrary in that the user, the person taking the scorecard, could decide what a 10 looked like, what a 7 looked like.
What's
and,
10?
So that we just said, hey, on a scale of 1 to 10, how do you feel your firm's doing on this topic? And then they got to pick.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it was a little arbitrary in that way. Like what's a 7 versus a 6?
Yeah. And I guess the point was really to get people to think about it, as opposed to, kind of make everybody's tests standardized across the world or something. But that has, I don't want to say run its course, because I guess it's run its course. Like we've noticed that the utility of that is not as much as it was. People may have more information, but we've changed the scorecard now.
We completely revamped it. It was just time. Sometimes it's just time for a refresh. And so now, I mean, the good news is it's 20 questions. So people may, it's already like less than half. We really took a look at each of the questions. So I think that substantively, we're still asking a lot of the same things, and we're still talking about the same core concepts, because let's face it, like core business concepts, it's not that they've changed over the last 10 years, but we wanted to give people a chance to think about their firm. And I guess what really did change is the answers to the question. So instead of saying, give yourself a 1 or a 10, we ask you to rate yourself on 1 to 5, but we've now defined what a 1 is, what a 2 is, what a 4 is. And I think that that's going to be helpful. And it will be helpful for firms to now really see not just where they are, but what's the progression. Because now you can look and see that this is what Lawyerist at least thinks a 5 looks like. And okay, so now I have an idea of not just where I am, but where I am aspiring to be, what that could look like.
Right, because this isn't, yes, one could get a high score on this, but it's not about passing the test. It's where it's an assessment, not a score.
It's about information. And, I've been working with some of our labsters recently, and we've been looking at their finances, for example. And a lot of times, if, people, you could just sense it on the call, like judgment comes up. When we start to look inside, look at our business, we just assume we're like, oh, is this bad? Is this good? Are you judging me? And I'm like, listen, this isn't about judgment. It's about information. And we can't make thoughtful decisions about our business if we don't know where we are. And so you should approach this scorecard in the same vein of, we're just trying to figure out, where are you today? What's working well? Maybe what could be a little better? So then we can start down the path to better.
So it's kind of organized a little differently in this one. What are our organization? What are these questions going to kind of tell people about themselves, about their company?
I think in some senses, it's the same, because it's all modeled around our healthy firm model, which, if you haven't looked at that lately, which, I mean, I don't know, why would you? But we live and breathe it every day. We believe that every law firm, to have a healthy firm, it starts with healthy strategy, right? Your business foundations. What are you trying to build? Where are you going? What are those goals, your KPIs, all of that. Then we move into healthy team. Are you attracting and keeping and managing and advancing the right team members? Then healthy clients. Again, it's about attracting the right clients with our marketing messaging, but then delivering exceptional client experience consistently. Systems and technology. How are we then documenting that work and leveraging our technology? That moves into healthy profits, because at the end of the day, the business should be making money. And then finally, healthy owner, because for our small businesses especially, this should be about you being able to live the life that you want to live. And so we ask, are you able to take unplugged vacations? Are you paying yourself a market rate for the work that you do and getting profit on top of that? Are you building this business in a way that you can one day exit and transfer it? And so we put all of those concepts together, make up our healthy firm model, which is the basis of everything we do around here at Lawyerist. It's the foundations of our book. Our book is structured that way. Our courses in lab are structured that way as well.
When someone answers these questions, they go through the 20 questions, what kind of information can you, Stephanie, get out of this, based on what they're answering? Because again, we've got, struggling, functioning, optimized, thriving. What can you pull out of that?
A couple of things, obviously. First is we're really starting, we've been doing this for a while, but talking to our labsters about what stage is their business in. And so for some people, this may be new, but we're really doubling down on some of the work we're doing with our labsters around this concept. And so let me just, again, to define everybody and make sure everyone's on the same page. As you launch your business and it grows, it inevitably goes through different stages of a business life cycle. Generally, people have different names for it. They may break it out into 4 or 5, or, it doesn't really matter. It's fundamentally a similar path. It starts with, at the beginning, stage 1, where you're launching and working on those fundamentals. And at that early stage of your business, most people are focused on marketing, right? The very beginning, unless you've left a firm and brought a huge book of business with you, most people, when you're launching, you're getting set up and you're now focused on that business development, getting clients in the door, making sure the money's coming in. Then you move to the next stage, which is all about, growing and building, because now you've got work coming in. And what do you say? Oh my gosh, I've got all this work coming in. Now I got to make sure I can deliver. I need to be able to, maybe now I'm ready to start hiring. I got to start building systems and processes to make sure I'm delivering this work consistently and effectively. I need to make sure my financial structure is in place. So you can see that the focus of the business owner, necessarily needs to change as the business has now entered that next stage of maturity.
Right.
From there, just to kind of finish this out, and then, from there we go to stage 3, which is really about now creating more structure. Now we might be thinking about more management structures. The team might be growing. We're focused on more systems and processes and formalizing that work, maybe even building out another level of management. I mean, again, it kind of is going to look different for everybody, because some people's growth isn't just about growing in terms of numbers, but that's typically what we might see at that stage. And then finally, in stage 4, you're really now looking at those things that I talked about around healthy owner. Maybe a fully developed leadership team. You as the owner might have more of a CEO leadership role. You may still be doing some of the lawyering, but you've redefined your role and where your focus is. And now you're starting to think differently about your next steps, whether that be exit or how you want to spend your time and what the value of your business is. I know we just had someone on recently talking about transferring, being able to transfer your practice. So people at that level are kind of just thinking about their business differently. And I think sometimes the mistakes we make. So to back up to your first question, the scorecard, the way people answer the scorecard is going to give me a huge indication as to where they are in these different phases. And where they're succeeding, where they might be struggling. But also then that's going to allow us to help focus them on the right things at the right time. So in other words, if you're just launching, of course, we love to begin with the end in mind, but I'm not necessarily, if you're on, if you're in month 3 of your law firm, I'm not going to have heartburn if you don't have a fully developed exit strategy. Right. I mean, you may have some ideas of hey, one day this might be nice, but we're not working on your succession plan if you're in launch.
Yeah. And we're not, you could have a fully hired and developed management team, but you don't have any business coming in the door. And so that doesn't matter.
So we want to match the work that our business owners are focused on. When we talk about, you're running a business, you need to be able to step back from the day-to-day and focus working on your business, not in it. So then the question becomes, but what does that look like? What does that mean for me to work on my business? And the answers depend in large part upon, where is your business? And so this scorecard is going to help us really define where are you now and then prioritize, because we also know, you can't do everything at once. So what are the next 2 or 3 at the most steps that you need to be taking and focused on to get your firm to the next level?
So when I take the small firm scorecard, it's giving me information about, what I'm doing. I've got kind of like thriving or functional in various places. And honestly, people, even if you've taken the small firm scorecard recently, go take it. It's free. It's there. It'll give you some information. But when I get this information, if I'm just starting out and I have just like terrible and healthy owner, that's not necessarily, again, like it's this information that's not necessarily bad, is what you're saying. If I'm 3 months in,
I would be shocked. I mean, if I saw optimized when it got to some of those stage 4 work, we might actually question that and say, wait, what are you doing? You're not focused on the right things. So yes, it's not about judgment. And again, it's about information. And where should you be focused based on where your business is?
Well, this makes me think we had some trouble with the idea of giving letter grades to this. I think we still send back letter grades, right? But
I thought we changed it. We used to give people like an F, and then we would argue they gave themselves an F because again they were judging themselves on a score of 1 to 10.
True.
I mean, we're not giving you your F, but then in this new version, I think we ended up saying actually that's probably not the right messaging, because it's not about a letter grade. It's about figuring out where you are and what you need to focus on next. And now our coaches are really being able to use this tool to get very specific on, okay, based on these results, this is where where your focus should be. 1, 2, or 3 things.
So it's been interesting for the people that are listening right now. Stephanie built this new scorecard and has been working on it for a while to kind of like put its order into place. And I've been able to watch this process happen. And it's been interesting to me to see the effect that the book has had on the new scorecard, that our new work with the Labsters has had on the new scorecard. But even now, though, the scorecard, the work on the scorecard is having an effect on how we're even doing lab.
Yes.
Can you kind of talk to me a little bit about that, about the people's journey, even after they take the scorecard and come and say, okay, let's get
started.
In
a simple word, I think I had this epiphany recently where I was like, we need to blow up lab. And blow up is maybe a little too large of a, that's what we tend to do.
That gives me heartburn.
It's okay.
Yeah.
And
okay.
Here's the good news about that. As to my fellow business owners out there, maybe you started and thought, I do secretly want to burn my law firm down. In a way, like I secretly was like, hey, we need to burn lab down because I want to rebuild, but it's because I want to create something better and different. And so it's normal for business owners to have these epiphanies and these aha moments. And so don't freak out about it. It's kind of fun and exciting. And I got super energized by it because I was like, wait, we need to change some of the things we're doing with the work that we do with our Labsters. And that's a good thing because if anything, like, maybe my fault here, if I could be a little self-critical, is people were coming to us and joining lab and we were trying to help them with everything. So we'd be, ultimately we'd be like, well, we would try to focus and say, okay, where do you need to do next? But even in terms of like, you could go access any of our content, and people get overwhelmed and they would kind of stall out sometimes because there was just too much.
To me, that's, you and I have talked about trainers a lot, or coaches in that sense on the podcast at times. And to me, that's like saying, hey, you've joined the gym. Here's all the stuff.
Right. Oh, that's good.
And they're walking up to a trainer saying, hey, trainer, what should I do? I've been working on lats. And they're going, oh, okay, keep doing lats. You're doing great on your lats. Your lats look awesome. And it's like, but I want to run a 5K. And the whole point of the trainer is to tell me how to do that. And sometimes you have to tell somebody, and I think you and I have talked about this internally, definitely. Sometimes you just have to tell somebody that this is how you need to do it. And at the very least, it's a right way. So I feel like it's getting more to it's not like it is easy to want to give everybody what they literally ask for.
Yes.
And now I think we're trying to give people what they need.
Oh, I love that. Yes. It was almost like we were too kind, right? Like that was our fault to speak.
In a way,
like, we'll help you with that. Oh, you want to help? And now we're going to be like, actually, no. So I love the training example. So we've also talked about my 14-year-old a lot. And this summer, she's started working out at it's a facility for student athletes. It's great. And so, they do a little bit of performance, like speed and agility, but now and then they do.
It's one of those D1 places.
Is D1. That is where she's going.
This is not a commercial.
No, but it's been interesting. So she started, and right now the first week they had them lifting a bar and with no weight on it, and just really working on their form of like, how do you even do a press, right? And that's a great example. Like then the next week they had put a little bit of weight on it and she's feeling much more confident. We wouldn't take a brand new, a 14-year-old who's never lifted weights and say, bench press 100 pounds. That's ridiculous.
Right.
And so I think that's the same approach now with the way we're reimagining lab and our coaching experience is actually we're going to get really specific and targeted. And when you come to us, we're going to figure out exactly where you are. And it takes discipline on our part too, because you may say, but I really want to focus on this. And I have to be willing as your coach to say, I hear you, but you're not ready to bench press 100 pounds yet. We got to just work on lifting the bar. And in your business, that may look like, getting the right clients and the marketing in place or whatever the example is. But, that's what we're doing is so we're structuring our lab journey to be way more specific. And I think as a result, way more impactful. Like I'm super excited and jazzed by this.
I think they call that being a player's coach. When you're like, yes, we can do that. We can do that. No, we need to, we don't need to work on your technology until you've got people coming in the door, really. Now, if you've got nothing to do today and you've done all your marketing homework, then okay, maybe go play with the technology. But we don't need to be saying, okay, well, how do I build these amazing reports when nobody's coming in?
I love that. Yeah. And so, and by the way, it's not like we were failing in this hugely big time before, but I think we're just getting more and more refined and more specific with the information that we've learned through years of helping lawyers struggle with this. So it's like, no, actually, we know what you need. We're going to help you with it. And it starts with the scorecard. And like you said, the scorecard's free. Everybody should take it. It's just information. Don't take it with judgment, but take it and see, like, where are you? And think about those stages of your business that I just mapped out. And because that's going to be helpful too. Like, are you focused on the right things given where your business is? And, even down to like everything we talk about, even like KPIs. Because I think in this training I just did recently, I got really specific and I'm like, if you're in launch, these are the 4 or 5, key performance indicators, KPIs data is all it is, that you should be paying attention to. And so you're not going to be paying attention to these other things. Those come later. And in a way, isn't it nice to give ourselves permission for what we don't have to pay attention to?
It is. And honestly, I think about the stuff that I do at Lawyerist, and years ago, KPIs that I had that were very specific and very, very niche and very, very small. And now a lot of my KPIs are bigger and broader just because that's, we've developed the things, but there's no way that I wouldn't know anything about these big, broad KPIs if I didn't do the small ones and just in a different phase. Well, the first KPI that somebody can do is probably take the small firm scorecard, because that's one that you can keep tracking. You can take it as many times as you want.
Take it as many times as you want. And once you do, we're going to invite you to get on a call with us and let one of our coaches review your score and give you those priorities and give you those next steps. Because then, of course, you can now what you need to go work and implement. And you can obviously implement that on your own, or we'd love to help you. But it's going to be a ton of information and it's a great place to start.
Absolutely. Think it is. Stephanie, thank you for being on your podcast today. I appreciate you coming out and sharing all your information on the new revamped, new and improved Small Firm Scorecard. And for those of you who are looking for the Small Firm Scorecard, you can find it on our website at Lawyerist.com/scorecard, and we'll definitely put a link in the show notes.